So this is the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL in the hazel color. This is my titanium iPhone 15 Pro Max. In this episode, we're going to put the Pixel 9 Pro XL up against the iPhone 15 Pro Max in a speed test. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Let's begin the speed test with a boot up in 3, 2, go, and see which one can get there first. Now, Pixels typically boot up very fast, so I would expect the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL to win this test, but I just got this phone yesterday, and I gotta tell you, the shape looks exactly like my 15 Pro Max, and it does boot up faster than my 15 Pro Max. Although it is a little bit bigger, it's like 6.8 inches. I expect the 16 Pro Max to go to this size and has a 20:9 aspect ratio, whereas the iPhone has a 19:9. So a little bit different on their aspect ratios, but the overall look and shape, besides the cameras, are definitely pretty similar between these phones, with the Pixel getting the win on the boot up test. All right, so when talking about biometrics, we do have this nice and quick now fingerprint sensor built right into the Pixel itself, right here on the lock screen. And it's definitely a very quick one. Before, these could have been a little bit spotty, but this got improved actually. It's a little faster now. Also, the face unlock is available for the Pixel, and you can go ahead and bypass the swipe, or if you go into the face unlock settings, you can go ahead and just change it out to where you can swipe like you do on the iPhone. So the Pixel is pretty nice in that respect, because I can't even change that. On the iPhone, it's always going to be the Face ID and the swipe in. Now, in terms of like how you use this and convenience, you might prefer Face ID for unlocking banking apps and stuff of that sort. But the Pixel definitely feels like a little bit of a faster phone to unlock and to get into. So in terms of the speed of getting into the phone, I think it's the Pixel here. All right, so from a general software speed perspective, one of the areas where Android phones typically lag up is when you go over here to their Google feed over here, especially some Samsung phones will lag there. Also, when scrolling through here, if it's a slower phone, you'll see it, but the Pixel is one of the best, one of the fastest out there. It's snappy and smooth at the same time, so definitely feels like it gives you performance that commands its higher price tag. Also, up here in the quick toggles area, this is also very smooth. And one of the things you'll notice about the Pixel 9 Pro XL is if you look at the way this is designed, it kind of matches the shape of the camera bar as well as the shape now of the sides, these quick toggles. So that looks pretty in sync. I really do like that. And you can also customize this as an Android phone. So if you don't like the circle icons, you could change that stuff out. But generally speaking, super fast scrolling, super fast general software. And we are on the latest version of Android 14 on here. All right, so confirming the actual Android version, Android 14, Android security update August 5th, and July 1st, Google Play system update for the Pixel. And with the general software for the iPhone 15 Pro Max, we are looking at iOS 17.6.1. That is the official software of this video. And you'll see right here, very smooth, incredibly smooth actually day to day. And one of the things I feel like Apple still does better than the competition is kind of like the consistency. It's not really that Android phones aren't smooth or other competitors aren't smooth. It's just Apple seems to have a little bit of a smoother consistency across the ecosystem, across the products. It's getting very tight now, though. It's almost indistinguishable. But there's something about the iPhone that still looks very buttery smooth. So I can't say anything bad in this area, especially on the Pro line, Pro Max line. But when we do confirm the software here, we are looking at the latest version that is available for this. This is going to be the latest official version. iOS 18.1 beta 2 is also available if you want to go developer route or public beta route. But just in a few weeks, we'll have the official iOS 18 on board here. But we're going to do the stock official software for this speed test. All right, so let's go ahead and begin this app test with calendar on both phones. 3, 2, go. And the iPhone did launch that first. Let me head up out of here. We'll go into clock. And to me, I think that was the iPhone. We'll go over here to stopwatch. Some people are complaining that they're still not wanting the tensor CPU. Is that you? Personally, I like how the Pixel performs. It's been pretty good. Let's go into calculator. A little faster there, even on the calculator on the iPhone. Let's go into weather. That was snappier on the Pixel, and the Pixel has its all new dedicated weather app with these ability to move around these widgets here within the weather. So you can put the ones you like the most there. And then Apple has their traditional, very useful and clean weather setup. Let me know which weather app you like better. Let's go into news. And I might have to run that one again. Hold on. They're both giving me pop-ups. I swear I tested these beforehand and they still do those pop-ups. Let's go into news on both. A little faster on the right. Now, these aren't the exact same app, but you can see there was a little bit of a jumpy scroll there on the left on the Pixel. But that's not the Pixel's fault. Most Android phones do that. Let's go into App Store, Play Store. I think that was very close. I think that was the Pixel. Let's go to apps. I think that was the Pixel. I could be wrong. The iPhone scrolling still feels smoother though. Let's go into Instagram. We're going to do the Pixel on that one. We'll go here to the home page. And Pixel is actually one of the better phones for social media use too. Like it has some of the better photos and Instagram and some of the social apps. So definitely one of the ones I recommend if you're doing a lot of social media sharing. The Pixel is definitely up at the top of my list. Let's go into X on both. That was faster on the left. And we'll go to profile. Faster once again on the left. And when scrolling through both, I do notice that they both do a good job here. Sometimes there's a little bit of a bounce on the Pixel scrolling, but overall very good on both. Let's go into YouTube and you'll see, I think that was faster on the right. Amazon. That was faster on the left for the Pixel. And we'll go into eBay. And this is showcasing, that's faster on the left. This is showcasing the performance you're going to see day to day on these phones. Remember, Pixel is early. It could have updates and get even better. Let's go into Groupon. And I think that was the iPhone, but the pop-up. You know what? Let me just go ahead and run that again just for good measure. Let's go into Groupon. And yeah, that was actually faster on the Pixel. So that pop-up didn't save the iPhone. Faster on the Pixel again. Let's take a look at health and fitness. And we'll go ahead and scroll through here and see both do a good job. I think it's going to come down to which app was better developed for which platform. A lot of developers tend to make better apps for Apple though, just because they're more incentivized for more downloads, more revenue. So you're likely going to see some better apps on the iPhone. And that could be a sticking point. But personally, if you're a Google Power user, Google has nailed it with the Pixel 9 Pro XL, as well as the 9 Pro if you want a smaller phone. I probably would skip the 9. I just don't like that one. I like the big boy, the Pixel 9 Pro XL that you're seeing in this video. And somebody's volume's on. I just heard that. I think it's the Pixel. Yes, it is. Let's go ahead and bring this back in the center. And we were on Temple Run, so let's go into Dead Trigger 2. And we'll see what happens here for Dead Trigger 2. And the iPhone jumps in the lead. So the A17 Pro chip still in the lead with the GPU. Is the iPhone still giving us better hardware performance, even on a year-old phone? Let's go into Free Fire. That might be the case here. We're going to have to see in the benchmarks what goes down. Now we're getting jumped on the Pixel 9 Pro. No, with the iPhone with the win again in gaming. Faster here. This is a good measure usually for which phone performs a little better. Usually it's going to be the one that does the fastest in gaming, or GPU scores, if you will. We'll take a look at those later. That's usually the phone that's a little more powerful. Let's go into PUBG Mobile. This is going to require a little bit more demanding load times, and we'll see. Some people say, well, why do you still do these app tests? They don't, because this is what I do every day. I use applications to use my phone. Like, that's what I do. I open apps every day. I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. And I want the phone that does that faster, because whatever app or whichever phone loads the apps first, relaunches them first, is going to be the more efficient phone for me day to day. It's not always about the benchmark scores. That was faster on the right. It's not always about the benchmark scores. It's more about which one is launching these apps, scrolling faster. Those are the things that are actually going to matter and kind of lead up to a faster day-to-day experience. to me. Faster on the right and in shot. That was, I got a lot. This one's making me do notifications. So let me go ahead and rerun this one. I've done this. I like do the app test prior and it still gives me these pop-ups. Like, I don't get it. I'll do that again one more time for another pop-up. You'll see, I think it loaded a little faster on the right, but I could be wrong. Let's go into Geekbench 6. And faster on the right. And we'll go into 3D Mark. Faster on the right. So I think the iPhone took this one, mostly because some of the apps were faster. Some were faster on the Pixel, but the games pulled ahead on the iPhone in almost every game. So I think the iPhone's a little snappier here. We'll take a look at the RAM management now. All right, so I'm excited to see how the Pixel does when relaunching apps. This does have 16 gigabytes of RAM, so this thing should be butter on relaunches, and it is so far. Unlike the Samsung phone, I don't have a good lock module, so I can't skip the double swipe on the side landscape view. Unless there's a way that you guys figured out for Pixel phones to do that, let me know down below in the comments. But you'll see it has everything loaded beautifully. This is what you expect for 16 gigs of RAM. Now, I know the 16 gigs of RAM wasn't put here specifically for this. It was put here for Gemini and the AI stuff that goes on for this phone. There's a lot of that to talk about in the review. But it also helps you here when you're going back between applications to keep everything open. So I am going to talk about it a little bit here. Look at that. Everything beautifully open. So this is one of the best areas of this phone. This actually doubles the RAM from the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But will this matter day to day? For power users, I think it will. So I really have to give Pixel great credit for that one. That's amazing. Right, so let's take a look at the iPhone 15 Pro Max now. Even with 8 gigs of RAM, due to iOS's lightweight operating system, it is very fast and very smooth to load most of this stuff. But I am seeing rumors that the iPhone 16 Pro Max is still going to have 8 gigs of RAM. I wish it goes to 12. We'll see what happens. You know, I never really believe anything until Apple announces it, so I would expect to see 12 at least, but I think they're going to stick with 8, maybe. They usually don't up RAM that frequently. But the iPhone can hold all these applications very well as well. I never really have reload issues, even with the 8 gigs of RAM here. And definitely 8 gigs of RAM is going to be enough to run the Apple Intelligence for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So these are going to be pretty competitive phones with their respective AI feature set here in October, September. All right, so what I want to do is a scroll test, a common scroll test here. So I just want to kind of compare how they look in scrolling in some common apps like Instagram, for example. Let's go to the home feed and just kind of see how they perform this. And you'll see Pixel with its 120 hertz panel does very good. Overall, very fast scrolling, not a big issue whatsoever there. All right, so let's take a look at another common app like YouTube. And you can see no real chop there to speak of. Not a big issue. There's a little bit of a bounce there. I just seen it on that last thumbnail there. But overall, very impressive scrolling here. We'll go to the music tab. Very fast. You can also slow it down just by slowing your scroll down, so it really does respond well to your scroll. Play Store holds a lot of content, so I do feel like it will chop a little here. Let's go to the top charts. And you'll see, no, very good over here. So definitely look forward to some really good performance here. Let's go ahead and check the browser, check Chrome real quick. So let's read this website about Google products, mostly Android and stuff. And you'll see very fast. Look at that. If you scroll like that, it'll go very fast. But no real issues. I do feel like certain websites, if they're not optimized well and you get ads in there, they're a little bit slow. But definitely very good performance, multi-touch, all very good. So this Pixel is one of the better scrolling phones on Android, one of the smoother refresh rates. It has more polish and optimization than some competing like Chinese phones and some other phones that are just not at this level of smooth. I just really think the Pixel experience is very good. So that's a very good experience there. So let's go ahead and check the scroll speed on the iPhone here. This is a measure of how fast they scroll. So the iPhone doesn't really have that really super fast scrolling. It kind of just stays smooth all the time, even if you move your finger fast. I feel like it's loading the Instagram feed a little nicer though than the Pixel did. but very smooth here on the ProMotion display. It still can go fast if you move fast, but I feel like the scrolling is a little smoother on the slower section of it. I feel like the Pixel goes a little faster than you're actually scrolling sometimes, but definitely very good here as well. All right, so let's check YouTube like we did with the Pixel, and you'll see pretty similar here. Again, it just feels a little slower. Not that that's a bad thing. It's going to feel smooth when you're slowly going through stuff. You're not going to go through as fast as I am in this video. I'm doing this just to see if we get any lag. If you're wondering, nobody scrolls that fast, Nick. I get that. I'm doing this to see if anything lags up. And so everything is good there. Looks pretty nice. All right, so let's check the App Store. And I feel like this is one of the areas Apple does a little smoother is their App Store. You can see, well, never mind. The loading took a while, but the loading is not what I'm looking for. We're looking for scrolling here. You can see pretty good here. Again, the scrolling is kind of similar across all the applications here in iPhone. It's just a little bit slower even when you flick your finger faster. So if you like that slower scrolling, you think that's smoother, you'll like the iPhone. If you like to control the scroll more, like you want a faster or a slower scroll, Android gives you more versatility. So let's go to this Apple website here, and we'll just kind of scroll through here, and you'll see pretty good overall, not bad. Definitely, again, it's the same experience across all of those applications. All right, so let's do a quick internet test. We'll start with the Google Store application or website. That was faster on the iPhone, unless it was my finger. Let's go ahead and hit browse phones here on both. That was a little faster on the left. Let's hit the new Pixel 9 Pro XL we're looking at right here. That was faster on the iPhone. So you can order a Pixel maybe faster on the iPhone. Funny. Let's go over here to Pixel Pro XL. And look at these colors they have. They have porcelain, rose quartz. I like the hazel. And then they got the obsidian. I wouldn't get the obsidian because of that black paint might chip. So I'm going to pass on that one. But definitely very fast. Let's go to Apple's website now. So let's go to apple.com. And you'll see faster on Apple. That's what I would expect. We'll go over here to learn more. And was that faster on the Pixel? Maybe. Let's take a look at the 15 Pro, the latest and greatest from Apple, until a couple more weeks. We'll hit buy. And you'll see pretty similar. With the 15 Pro Max and the Pixel 9 Pro XL coming in at exactly the same. Well, not exactly the same. I think the Pixel is $1099 for the 128 gig, but pretty close in the price point. Not very off here. Much closer than ever before, but the Pixel is giving you a brighter display, more AI features, better camera, bigger battery, so it kind of does demand that extra price tag. So let's do a video render test here. We're going to do this in 4K at 30. This video was shot at 4K 30, and we'll do MP4 on both. Make sure that's the same. And you could see the file size, even though it's the same 2-minute video, it's a little more on the Pixel, but let's hit export here. Let's see which one could do this faster. And don't be fooled, just because the iPhone had a lower file size doesn't mean it will render it faster. But looks like it's in the lead slightly on this one. But they're pretty neck and neck. We're already at 20%. I'll speed this up and we'll be back when they are done. So we have a winner. The Pixel 9 Pro XL won this speed test in terms of the video render. Now this is an InShot. This is a third-party application. If you use things like iMovie, you can't even use that on the Pixel, and then you won't be able to use certain dedicated video apps that only are on iPhone or some that are only on the Android platform, but most of them on the Android platform are on iPhone. So I would still probably pick the iPhone for video editing just because it has better apps for doing so. But the Pixel definitely shows that it can definitely render very fast, just like an iPhone. And in some cases, like that one, even faster. So impressive there on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. All right, so we're going to do a Geekbench 6 here. You can see the Pixel 9 Pro XL is clocked in at 1.95 gigahertz on the single cluster, 2.6, and on the final one, 3.10 gigahertz. So those aren't the fastest clock speeds I've seen for the Tensor G4 over there. You'll see that on this one, we are clocked in at 3.78 gigahertz. So let's go ahead and run the CPU benchmark on this one as well. And I'll be back when the final results are in. We'll see what kind of scores these two can pull in. Remember, 16 gigs of RAM, G4 on the left, Tensor G4 on the right, Apple A17 Pro chip with 8 gigabytes of RAM running the latest software. So I'll be back. Final Geekbench scores are in, and the iPhone absolutely stomps on the Pixel 9 Pro XL in the multi-core score and in the single core score. And this is one of the areas why I think the higher price tag is going to be a tough justification for a few people because of this performance gap. But let's see if that stays the same in the 3D Mark GPU score. That will really tell us something else. All right, final scores in for the Wildlife Extreme and Google Pixel 9 Pro XL with 2507 on the overall score with 15.02 on average frame rate. That scores better than 52% of other devices. That is not very impressive if you ask me for a phone that just came out. You can see right here the iPhone 3620, 21 FPS, and that scores better than the 79% of all devices. This one versus all devices was 52%. So the iPhone has better GPU scores and better CPU scores, and it's much older. So the G4 is definitely not going to be the fastest phone option out there. Even the Galaxy S24 Ultra is more powerful, I think, with the Snapdragon. All right, so the last thing I want to do is go ahead and launch the cameras in 3, 2, go. And you can see faster on the iPhone to launch the camera. 3, 2, go. A little faster there now on the Pixel, so maybe once it gets loaded up there on the Pixel, 3, 2, go. And let's go ahead and take a photo on both. Now, generally, both of these do a very good job, but they both can do this thing where they like process the photo. The Pixel sometimes can take a little longer because it does some AI stuff. Whereas with the iPhone, if you're using that night shift mode or that night mode, basically where it kind of like, it could take a while for that exposure. So both these are not my fastest ever looking cameras out there, but definitely they're both very good. So wrapping it up, what is my final conclusion in this speed test? Well, the Pixel 9 Pro XL is the best Pixel ever made. It's so premium. The camera looks beautiful. The back is nice. It's pretty lightweight for its size as well. Very big screen, 6.8 inches, beautiful, bright display. Also, doesn't get super toasty or super warm. Excellent software support. Great for a Google Power user. However, that Tensor G4 chip still is not beating the best of the best out there in the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I don't think it's going to beat the S24 Ultra either. So we'll do that speed test next, the S24 Ultra, so stay tuned, stay subscribed for that. But I do think from a technical perspective, the iPhone has won this speed test. That doesn't mean I prefer it. That doesn't mean you might prefer it. It just means that in the actual raw power, the iPhone has won, but the iPhone still needs Apple Intelligence because the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL with its new screenshots feature, its new AI stuff, Gemini, it's definitely a smarter smartphone. That's a fact. So thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.